Gents of the internet, welcome back to another installation of the Foundry pod. Now, today we're going to be doing a bit of a reading. We're not necessarily going to be reading the entirety of an article, but it's just something I read earlier this week that I wanted to respond to. If you head over to the Foundry blog, you'll see that we've already kind of written about it a little bit and did more in depth, but I just kind of wanted to speak on it myself. Now, this is coming from the Daily Beast, and it's an article written by Natasha Wolf in the byline. Basically, it's called Men Embrace the Nip and Tuck. And it's not really giving statistics, but it's interviewing cosmetologists and plastic surgeons and talking about men who, are showing more of an interest in anti-aging treatments these days. Now, obviously, I'm all for that, considering my line of work. Something didn't sit right with me about this article, and I've got no problem with Botox. I'm never going to say that. You do what you feel is best for you and what gives you the best results. But something about the way this article was written, and again, I don't mean to snipe here, just a lot of coded language, let's just say. The very first line is, Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook guy, once said, if you're over 30, you're a slow old man. And then the start of the very next paragraph is, looking tired or stressed is now less tolerated because quick fixes are easier than ever, says New York City cosmetic dermatologist Dr. Paul Jared Frank, whose clientele is 1/3 male. No longer is it okay for women to be pretty young things who are defying their age alongside older, softer, saggier, graying, wrinkled men. Now, this is the type of language you kind of see in those sexist articles, usually in reference to women, that kind of are made on their face to make them feel self-conscious. At our very core, human beings are somewhat self-conscious, and they just use so many targeted words here to just make the reader just fill in the bubbles, kind of make the reader think like, oh wait, they're kind of describing me at this point, aren't they? They could have just ended it at older, but older, softer, saggier, graying, and wrinkled. Like, come on, man. Now, as I said, I don't really have an issue with Botox. I don't have an issue with cosmetologists or anything like that. Just the article kind of felt less like it was meant to inform readers about men and their rising interest, I should say, in skincare and anti-aging treatments, and just kind of read more like an ad for Botox, to be honest with you. It didn't talk about anything along the lines of the fact that the amount of skincare products that men have bought has been on the rise steadily since 2011. Trust me, I would know these metrics. And Botox is still a luxury treatment. It's something that'll run you between $400 and $800 depending on where you go. And that's another thing. It's not something you can do at home. You cannot do this at home. You have to go see someone to get this done. Otherwise, you can do serious damage to your face as far as your nerves and things along those lines if you go too deep with the needle. Another thing is, it doesn't tell you some of the other factors that go into Botox. It can definitely be overdone. You can see people who've had way too much Botox done and wind up looking like a human Ken doll, which I believe that's actually a thing. I think there was a guy I saw who they called the human Ken doll, and he looked ripped but couldn't do a pull-up because all his muscles were fake. Pretty strange thing. Human Barbies aside, it's really not anywhere here or there. But the fact is, men are more into skincare now. And we've all been that kid who puts off brushing his teeth before going to the dentist office. And then the week of, brushes his teeth 6 times a day after every meal before bed. We've all been there at some point of our lives. Thankfully, it's something most of us tend to grow out of. I just don't think we should be pushing this or this kind of thing as just oh, it's such a quick fix, it's so easy. Everything takes sacrifice. I mentioned in the first episode that everything's a commitment. It depends on your commitment level to anything, the level of success that you'll be able to find in it. So if you are really committed to taking care of your skin, you can do that your entire life. You don't need to wait until you're 30, which is apparently meaning you're an old man, and then have to immediately go get Botox. There are people, me and myself being one of them, who started taking care of their skin when they were much younger and been using products since their early 20s, mid 20s, around there. And especially with Botox, realistically, the way that works is it kind of like goes into your wrinkles and prevents nerve signals from reaching the muscles. It kind of stops the muscle from contracting, relaxes it, and softens the skin. Basically, it's simple science. If you don't move those muscles, the skin over them is not going to wrinkle. The problem is, you don't necessarily need injections for this. And not only do you not need expensive injections for this, peptides do this. Peptides are naturally occurring, and we actually sell our own peptide serum that does this. If you were to look at our Finish Line peptide serum, there's actually 6 peptides that do the same. They reduce muscle movement and they stimulate collagen synthesis. So instead of paying $800 for a treatment that realistically is gonna kind of affect the quality of your life for about 2 weeks. There's another thing they don't tell you about Botox is if you're on any vitamins, if you have a headache, if you've taken ibuprofen, if you've taken Advil, if you've taken anything in the 2 weeks prior, while there's no further long-term damage, it actually does increase bleeding and bruising because of the blood thinning effects of the Advil, even up to your workout supplements. If you're someone who takes vitamin E and something natural like that, even that thins your blood a little bit too much to be able to take Botox. So, like anything else, you just probably shouldn't take shortcuts. Just put in the hours, put in the work. What is it? You have to spend 10,000 hours at anything to be considered a master at it? Well, why don't you spend that time trying to take care of yourself? That way you don't have to take all the shortcuts. All right, moving on. Another thing I wanted to talk about that people seem to really engage with and people really seem to enjoy was the day before our last podcast dropped, we posted an article discussing whether you should use a beard brush or a beard comb. People really seem to enjoy that one. I've gotten a lot of people asking me what kind I personally use. Well, difficult question because I have 3 realistically, but yeah, I use 3 different combs. I used to use a brush. I don't know. It stopped. It lost its appeal to me really quickly. I always just felt like the brush didn't do this job the way the combs did. Especially I'm somebody who has a very thick beard, so the comb kind of helps. Daily basis after the shower, in the morning when I'm rubbing beard oil into my beard, I use actually our own Gentleman's Foundry wooden comb. It's saw cut, all one piece, very very sturdy cherry wood. In fact, that basically just does the work, gets all the knots out, leaves my hair looking good, leaves it straight, no knots in it. Wonderful. Aside from that one, I do have a pocket comb that I carry. It's a little flip comb rather. Now, this one's a curious case because I'm scared of losing this one now because I bought it from a company known as This Bear, That Forest. That is no longer in business. I think I want to say I got that around 2013 or so. Uh, Really just fun, nice comb. I really do enjoy it. But yeah, it's a shame. I actually really enjoyed that company very much. And lastly, when it comes time to actually shave, I use a basic comb. Nothing, nothing glamorous, nothing glitzy about it. Just a very basic plastic comb that with a handle, so I can kind of move my beard over and access my neck better and kind of keep the grip on it that way. That way, I don't wind up with one of those really uncomfortable neck beards where I wake up in the night like a man with like a man having malarial nightmares. Speaking of shaving, more than likely, new shave soap coming to gentleman'sfoundry.com. We've been working with a new formulator as far as the soaps, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I've used it twice in the last 2 weeks. Which, funny story, since I'm talking about shaving, I just told you about how I have to comb my beard over, about the new soap I'm using. Funny story, I've learned over the last 2 or 3 weeks that while I have become a complete surgeon with a straight razor, I don't get any cuts on my face, no cuts on my neck, no nicks. I'm not even overly irritated anymore on my neck, let's say. I am an absolute klutz when it comes to actually washing off the razor after I'm done with it, because the last 2 times I've given myself a giant axe wound on my finger or my hand while washing off the razor, while meanwhile leaving my face looking immaculate. Your boy needs help. I don't know what to do, but I've gotta fix this clumsiness. This won't do. It's not a good look. I describe myself as a surgeon with a razor blade, but this is one of those surgeons that you could imagine, Jim Carrey playing in the 90s, who slips on a banana peel in the middle of a surgery. Not a good look at all. Not a good look. But that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this installation of the Foundry Pod. We're going to be back in the next month or so. We're bringing you more news and more information then. Hope you miss us, because we'll miss you. Really, really we will. I mean that. I miss you right now. I miss you so much that I don't even want to say goodbye yet. Look at me. I'm just dragging this out. Okay. In all seriousness, though, please do come back. We really do appreciate you guys. And we will miss you. So, from Gentleman's Foundry, have a great week, gents.